This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by John Ryder over Zoom. John, always a pleasure. It's been a while since we last had the chance to catch up. Before we come on to the boxing talk, how are you? How is life treating you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm enjoying being back in the gym, enjoying Arsenal's latest signings and the success they're going to have this season. So, yeah, life's good, mate.
I'm glad to hear. Obviously, we had a brief chat there about all things football before we started this interview. I'm not as optimistic for you as what you are with Arsenal's chances of league this season, but we'll leave that subject for another time. It must be a bit of an exciting chapter in your career, John. Granted, you're coming in on the back of a defeat, but your name's being linked with so many fighters, so many potential names. Now, I did interview Tony a week or two ago, and he said that Eddie and the teams reached out to Caleb Plant, Jaime Munguia, Gennady Golovkin. You must feel relatively kind of relaxed in your situation, but optimistic and keen to get the ball rolling again.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, obviously a great fight and a great experience out in Mexico fighting one of the best in Canelo. And now I've had a nice rest. I've had a chance to recoup and spend a bit of time with the family, a bit of quality time. And I'm itching to get back in, get the summer out of the way and really get my teeth into camp and look to end the year on a high. And for me now, it's the biggest and best fight. The titles remain tied up. So for me, it's about fighting these people. Golovkin, if he's still going to carry on, Plant, Munguia, Benavidez, Belanga. I want the biggest and best fights out there for me.
You mentioned all these names, John. Obviously, they're leading names in amongst whether it be 160 or 168. Obviously, I know you'd fight them at 168, but what's kind of like after everybody knows Canelo's the money man in the division? I don't know what the purses would have been. I imagine you probably paid very well for that fight. What's your motivation at this stage in your career? What do you want to go on to achieve?
Just continue fighting the best and operating at a level I've been operating at. I don't want to be dropping back down now for 6 and 8 round tick over fights. I think I've operated at a level now for a period of time, and I want to continue that. I think I've give a great account of myself at that level, and I want to test myself against the best that is there. And like I say, that the titles remain tied up now, and obviously Canelo is defending them again in at the end of September. So just just the biggest and best fights that I can be involved in that keep me at this level.
Just on kind of some of those names, I said speaking to Tony a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned, you know, the teams had reached out to the likes of Caleb and Jaime and Gennady Golovkin. I know Edgar Belanga's name's been mentioned as well. How far along, if at all, have maybe some of those talks progressed as far as you're aware?
At the moment, I'm not aware that they've really gained any momentum, but listen, I'm back in the gym now. It's on. It's out there on social media that I'm back taking over and getting fit again. So I hope that the phone starts ringing and offers start coming in because I feel like I deserve to be in these big fights. I think I'm a tough night's work for anyone, so they need to be on their A game. Um, I've had a lot of fights on the road now. It'd be nice to come back home and have some in the UK, but the types of fighters get like Golovkin, you've got to expect to be the B side in these. So I'll travel where I've got to go.
If you could kind of look at, that list of options, Billy Joe Saunders talking about coming back as well. A rematch has been spoken about between you two for a while. How would you kind of rank if you could maybe name me three fighters that you'd like them in an order? What would they be in?
I think firstly it'd probably be Golovkin. Then we'd go maybe uh, a Belanga, Munguia, Plant, say either one of those. And then if we're our next three fights, and then we go Benavidez. So Golovkin, either of them three, then Benavidez.
So just, I mean, I'll come on to Benavidez shortly, but on Billy Joe, as we mentioned there, he's in the gym, he's taking over, looking to get back in the ring. Is it still something of interest to you to have a rematch with him?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, there's no bad blood there. Obviously, we fought many years ago. We get on. I think there's a mutual respect still. So, listen, if it makes money, it makes sense, doesn't it? And it'd be a good fight to have in the UK. I don't know where he's at with his comeback. If he's going to fight this year or early next year. So I'm sure he'll have a couple, and then it's a potential fight that we could have. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Obviously every fighter that we've mentioned, they've all bring their own skill sets, all very different talents with that. Just on Gennady Golovkin, it's no secret, obviously he's at the back end of his career now. I don't think anybody would expect to see him kind of roll back the years on the back of his performance against Canelo. But what challenges would he pose to you, or what would you pose to him?
Listen, I think we're in a similar position. He's a bit older than me, granted, but we're both probably our best days are behind us. Listen, he might not have the timing or the speed anymore, but he's still got that vicious punch, and that will never leave him till the day he dies. So he's going to be a danger throughout the fight, no matter what.
With Caleb Plant, again, a very different stylistic type of fighter for you. How would you go about trying to engage with somebody like Caleb?
I mean, yeah, very slick, fast, sharpshooter. So, I mean, different threat altogether. But yeah, I mean, they're all tough fights in their own right, but all fights that I could really get out for and get my teeth into, and that really excite me.
I know you're back in the gym now, John, as you mentioned, ticking over. At what point do you start to get to that really itchy stage where you want to be able to kind of formulate some form of a game plan, start to prepare for a certain style of fighter, so that you can start to feel like you're getting ready for something as opposed to just this tick over phase?
Yeah, I think we'll got a few things coming up. But once that's out of the way and we can focus on a fight. And Tony's a great tactician. He'll work with something in mind, and if it's Golovkin, he'll have something in his head for start doing things on the pads and sparring or whatnot. But when we're there and he's watching over us shadow boxing, he's got things in his mind that he wants us to work on. So I think in the next month or so we'll have some clarity of what's next and where we're going and what direction we're heading. So I just look forward to it. It's been a long career now. I've had 13 years as a pro, and this has been probably the longest period of time I've had out at the gym. So it's nice to just rest, recoup, and get ready to go again.
Even though you wasn't successful against Canelo, John, it was obviously a terrific effort from you. You showed a tremendous amount of heart and bravery. I don't know whether that's something you're enjoying hearing or not now, but just kind of going back to that, how much of a kind of benefit at this stage in your career do you feel it was to have produced that type of performance? Because other fighters in your division will be looking at that thinking, all right, I want to go and do a better job against a John Ryder so they can get the Canelo fight. It's almost like there's a target on your back.
Yeah, I thought there is potentially. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be people want to prove a point that they could get me out of there when Canelo couldn't, or yeah, I mean, beat me better than he did. So I feel like there probably is a target on my back now. Not that the phones rang as much as I thought it would have. I thought there would have been some fights offered by now, but it's been a bit quiet. But I suppose they give me some time to recover and get ready. But I'm hopeful for these big fights. I want to, like I say, I want to fight the best, whether it be in the UK or stateside, wherever. I mean, I've shown that I'm willing to travel, and I will do.
Obviously, we know you're with Matchroom. You're a loyal guy at that, John. But mentioning the likes of Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, they're very much on the other side of the pond. But they're PBC fighters. Of what's Eddie's kind of openness or willingness to try and negotiate with PBC? Is it something you've spoken to him about?
Yeah, I think Eddie's very very willing for me to go where the big fights are for me, and he's open to letting me go wherever. And if they can't get a show on a home show for me, then they're willing for me to go and earn some money.
Just because we haven't had a chance to reflect on it, John, can you just take me back to that fight with Saul, that entire experience, what it was like being in very much so in the lion's den with all those Mexican fans screaming against you, I'm sure chanting a few words which we won't be able to repeat on here.
Yeah, there's a few, yeah. No, great, just a great experience in general. I say to you, I didn't win the fight, but I kind of won the night. I did. I left the ring to cheers and whatnot, and the Mexican fans are real fight fans. It was a humbling experience. The support from the Mexicans, the locals, was just lovely, heartwarming. We even just great people, great fights. I hope they do more fights there in the future because the fans really come out for it.
One of the questions heading into the fight around Canelo was, is he slightly on the decline now? John, without taking any kind of credit away from your own performance, did you feel like you could see that from Canelo? Is he fading slightly?
I mean, I felt he might be. I felt like it was a good time to get him, but it's all there to be seen. Obviously, he's got Charlo at the end of September. I mean, if his desire's still there, I see him playing golf yesterday with Steph Curry and whoever. But I'm sure he's still got huge desires. He still gets up in the morning, he still gets out of bed. He's made more money than he can spend, but he still gets up and he's still putting in the hard yards. So I believe that there's still a lot of good to come from him.
Just on that fight, Canelo Charlo, it's ended up, it surprised everybody when he was announced. Obviously, Canelo Jermell Charlo announced instead of Jamal. A difficult ask for anybody, obviously moving up, but two weights from 154 to 168. Do you rate Charlo's chances?
Listen, I mean, I know he's a light middleweight, but he's a big lump anyway. They both started off at light middle. I confuse the two of them. One's a middleweight now, one's a light middle, and he's gone with a light middle for reasons that the other one wasn't available.
Jamal is the 160.
Jamal won't be ready, so Jamal has stepped in. So listen, it's good, like a brother should, stepping up for his other brother. But it'd be intriguing. Listen, stepping up two weights might not be that much of a disadvantage for him. He's a big lump. He probably struggles to make 154. So I think he could go in there with the enjoyment of camp, not having to kill himself, boiling down, and it could be what he needs in his career now. So I'm sure it'll be an exciting fight, and be good to see where Canelo's at.
I mean, from your own experience as well, John, just looking at that weight front, Canelo's never been considered a big 168. He wasn't considered a big 160. So at 168, when you was in ring with him, did you feel like he wasn't kind of imposing in terms of his physicality?
Not really. I mean, for me, it was a shame that I couldn't really impose myself because once the nose had gone in the second, I couldn't really sustain any major attacks because I was always trying to get on the outside to get my breath back as such. But yeah, I mean, I think if he's got strength on the inside, then it'll be interesting to see if feels he can bully Sal about. So I'm sure he'll be heavier on the weights now, and obviously he's got that weight to play with that he can bulk up a bit, put a bit of strength on, a bit of muscle, and really try and use that to his advantage.
John, obviously one hot topic at the minute, just away from yourself, but sticking with the gym. Everybody's waiting for the news to come out with Conor's hearing from last week. Do you have any information as to where things currently stand on that?
I don't, mate. I'm waiting with bated breath like you lot. I just want Conor to be able to crack on with his career. Year and a half at the ring now, and listen, he's in the prime of his life. So I just want him to get the all clear and be able to move in the right direction of his career and just crack on and accomplish his goals.
It seems to be a matter of whether it be days away, hours away. By the time we finish this, John, the news could come out for all we know because it just keeps getting put to us. Does Conor have any inkling as to when he'll have that information put to him?
Listen, I'm sure he wishes it was last week, but I'm sure once he knows, we'll all know. And I just listen. If it's been hard for us all waiting to hear the result, then imagine that's been for him. It's been a long, drawn out process, and just shows his mental strength to get through this and to get to today. Listen, I'm sure people are frustrated, but just think how he's feeling.
How did he feel after the hearing? I saw him post that, I think it was on Instagram on his story. Today was a good day or something along those lines. How is he feeling after the hearing last week?
Listen, I didn't ask the questions, but I'm sure if he said that, then positive, and I think he should do. But yeah, still doesn't help that he's had to wait now a week from that hearing to get a result, and still nothing as of yet. So they say no news is good news, but let's just wait, and hopefully in the next couple of days we can hear the good news and Conor can move forward with his career.
John, obviously the fight which everyone was talking about for Conor, depending on how the hearing and everything played out, was the Eubank Jr. rematch. Now seems like that just is not going to happen, and we'll get the Liam Smith rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. So on that note, has Conor spoken about where he'd be looking to return to, what names he might be looking at now?
No, I mean he's just been focused on getting this out of the way, and rightly so. Don't look too far ahead, and I think there's still great fights for him, regardless if it's Eubank, Brook, Liam Smith. There's great fights from in Britain and great fights across the pond. Obviously, Stanionis had to withdraw. Well, sorry, his fight fell through the other day with
Ortiz.
Ortiz, yeah, and Ortiz is moving up now. So the fight with Stanionis could be a potential down the line. So there is great opportunities there for him.
Just whilst I've got you as well, John, just get your thoughts on a few other things. As we mentioned, Smith-Eubank Jr. too there. What are your thoughts on that rematch?
I think it could possibly go the same way. Liam's got that real dog in him. He's like I've said it before, and if you was having a fight anywhere in the world and it was a 2-on-2, you'd want Liam Smith being your partner because he would do what it takes to win, and he's a great fighter.
Of course, we have a big show on August 12th as well, the Anthony Joshua Dillian Whyte rematch. It's an interesting one, John. I'm curious to get your thoughts as to whether or not you expect to see a fight which was explosive and as kind of open as what the first one was, or do you expect to see a different approach from either men?
I don't think this can't not be explosive. I think there's so much. I don't know if there's so much needle now because there's a lot of water under the bridge and the time's gone on. But I feel once them two get the ring together, this is the decider, really. It's one apiece. Dillian won in the amateurs, AJ's won in the pros. So this is the decider. It's going to be a real treat for the fans. It's hard to pick a winner. They've both shown vulnerabilities. They've both shown that they can whack. And it's just who's got more left. So it's just a real treat for the fans, I think.
I know you've said it's hard to pick a winner, but if I was to press you to pull those splinters out, what would they be saying?
I'd have to back AJ. It's like I said, it's a tough one, but I'd just favour AJ to get the win.
Another fight in heavyweight division which was announced the other day is one which disappointed a lot of the boxing fraternity, Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Of course, we wanted to see Fury-Usyk, but that's not happening now. Just wanted to get your reaction to when you heard that news, and if you're open to watching that fight, if you're interested in watching that fight.
Yeah, I mean, I've not got much interest in watching it, but Tyson's got to do what's good for him, and whether that's WWE or fighting Ngannou, he's got to put food on the table for him and his family. So whatever he's got to do, it's going to sell. It's going to do whatever pay-per-view buys and whatnot. They're both going to get paid. So be it. Hopefully that's the last of it, and he can crack on with the unification with Usyk.
One heavyweight fight I forgot to bring up, and one which I'm sure you'll be tuning in for on that AJ White 2 card, is of course Filip Hrgovic against your man Dempsey McKean, obviously training alongside him, campmate of yours. Just talk me through how Dempsey goes about defeating Filip Hrgovic, how confident you guys are as a team that he will have his hand raised on August 12th.
Well, I suppose it's been a bit of a frustrating time, this one. It's been going ahead, then it's not, and it's been a few date changes, but yeah, I think Dempsey's in a great place. He's probably the best time for Dempsey now. He's had a good period of time working with Tony and Kevin, so they've got that bond now. They know each other inside out as such, and I think Dempsey needs this now, this stage of his career. His last fight, he got a good stoppage win, and really good to see him go and blow someone away. So I hope he takes that mindset into the ring against Filip Hrgovic on August 12th and gets the win he deserves.
John, former opponent of yours, Callum Smith, getting ready for Artur Beterbiev up at light heavyweight. That unified world title fight. Just get your take, please. Is the timing right? Will Callum overcome Artur? Will Artur once again show why he's considered by many to be the most dangerous man, or one of the most dangerous men within the sport?
Well, I mean, we'll see now. 38 after Beterbiev. Listen, Callum's a younger man, fresher man, and I think he's a different animal up at 175. I think 168 was a chore for him to get down to in the end, and I think that proved with his last couple of performances. But Beterbiev keeps rolling back the years. I think we always think that he's coming to an end, and then he proves us wrong. So it's going to be an interesting fight. But if anyone can do it, if anyone can stand up to his power and match him with power, then it's Callum Smith for sure.
And then two big fights taking place next week. I want to get your thoughts on. Firstly, in the middle of the week, we're treated to Inoue and Stephen Fulton. Will you be tuning in, John?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully. I'm an Inoue fan. He never fails to disappoint, and yeah. I mean, I don't think I've got to put my neck out. I think there's only one winner.
And then, well, how do you feel he will adjust? Obviously, moving up in weight now, Stephen Fulton, that he holds two of the titles up there. You know, how do you feel he will adjust moving up?
Listen, I think at that them weights at the lower levels is not a massive step up. Like I say, with fighters moving up through the weights is probably more beneficial to them in the end. They're not killing themselves through the weights. It's them kind of weights. It's the difference between 3 and 4 pound at times. So for him to move up 4 pounds, say it's a massive advantage and not having to lose that.
And then, of course, John, at the end of next week, we're treated to a fight which everybody's wanted to see for the last couple of years. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. Please, could I just get a mini breakdown from you, your thoughts, your take? Who will be crowned the undisputed king of the welterweight division?
Personally, I'd like Terence Crawford to be the victor. I think he's been a great champion over the years, winning his first world title, beating my good friend Ricky Burns, and then taking off from there. I think he was relatively unknown in the British shores until then, and then he's went and beat Ricky, and he's just really marched on with his career, and he's been a great fighter. Probably one of the best switch hitters we've ever seen, bar Prince Nazim. And I just hope he does it. Obviously, Spence is the more youthful man, but I feel Terence Crawford's going to go and give him a lesson.
Right, John, I appreciate your time now. I can hear your family in the background screaming for you to go and play with them and enjoy some more time. But I appreciate your time. It's good to catch up with you, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for speaking to me.
Cheers, Andy. Thank you, mate.